again. I dare you. I double dare you, mother.
Get busy living. Or get busy dying.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. And here we go.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cinema Cult Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Maloof. With me, as always, my co-host, Dante Trowina, and we're talking our top 10 favorites of the year.
Yeah, 2025 is over. I think we both agree it was a great year for film. A great year to have a theater around you, which you experienced a little bit of. I experienced about 5 days of on travel. I've got my Captain America cup ready to count down some of the best movies of the year. Brave New World.
Is that
is gonna
number
be on
one?
this. That's number one. So drinking the Kool-Aid for Captain America. It was a good year. I think we got a lot of good movies. You've seen how many releases this year, Cody? Can you flex that a bit again?
Well, it's not a flex, but I think 117. Let's see. Yeah, 117 really 2025 releases. So I think I have a pretty robust list, but there's definitely some more obscure stuff missing from here, and even like some mainstream stuff. Like I didn't see Novocaine. I never got around to that one this year. There was some comedies like that, and just some larger releases or more notable releases that maybe I just didn't get around to, stuff in that vein. But I think I saw what I wanted to see for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that I didn't. There's nothing not on this list right now that like I really want to see. I got everything seen that I feel like I needed to build a good list here.
Yeah, I think, well, I have not seen that many films this year. I think I saw everything I pretty much want to see. The one that I'm missing is No Other Choice.
Okay.
I think we might be talking about that. We'll definitely be talking about that in the Oscar video later.
Certainly.
I think they hate this man.
Yeah.
But we'll dig into that later.
Director Park. Yeah. We'll save that. I have stuff to say about Director Park later, for No Other Choice. But yeah, top 10 favorites of the year. I'll kick it off here with I would like to throw in a couple honorable mentions before I go to number 10, just real quick hitters. These are just outside the top 10. I have them 12, 13, and 14. But I want to shout out It Ends. This was an indie horror movie directed by a man by the name of Alexander Ulom. It's just a great, simple premise for a horror movie. Four like young adult friends in college, are in a car driving to help their friend move into an apartment or something like that. They end up on this road, boxed in by trees everywhere. And it's an endless road. They soon realize that this road goes on forever. Their car never runs out of gas. They don't get hungry. And they're just like trapped on this endless road. And whenever they try to get out and investigate the woods or anything, tons of people run out of the woods screaming and trying to like grab them or steal their car or whatever. It's never really revealed exactly what the people want.
Yeah.
But a great premise, very, very well executed, really good performances all around. It feels very real, but also being just slightly surreal in a really nice way. So some really cool themes going on. And overall, just a very, very solid horror debut feature for this director. So I just saw some report recently announcing Alexander's next film. I can't remember what it's called or anything around that, but I did see that he's coming out with a new feature hopefully this year. So we'll definitely look out for that. This was a very strong debut for Alexander. The next one I want to talk about here is Sirat. This is a movie that revolves around this father and his son, his young son, and they're trying to find the daughter. They have the father has like an adult daughter, and she's lost. They're trying to find her, and they're going to this. It starts at this big desert rave in the Middle East. I'm sure it is said where it takes place, but I cannot remember. But this is a foreign film. It is spoken mostly in Spanish and French, I believe. And essentially, long story short, the premise is they're trying to find this daughter. They go to this rave. They can't find her there. She's into the rave culture scene. They kind of get caught up with this group that leaves the rave. And they go on this like long journey to try to find this guy's daughter with these like people they've met at the rave. And things take a couple very fucked up turns. I can't spoil this movie. I can't talk too much about this movie
Right.
without completely spoiling it, but you need to watch this. If you
All
haven't
right.
seen this, if you haven't heard of this, you need to watch this. The plot is like it's incredibly unpredictable what ends up happening. You might think it's leaning one way just by how I might have described it to you, but it goes completely different direction a couple different times.
Yeah.
The score is really cool in this movie because it uses this like pumping rave score behind all the scenes and behind a lot of like these driving, traveling scenes. Akin almost in certain moments to William Friedkin's Sorcerer, which was a movie from the 70s about these guys that are like moving these trucks of dynamite through these really perilous jungle terrains. Very tense that movie is, and this movie is very tense and very depressing and straight up like heartbreaking at times. So, but very, very
I'm in.
excellent. You absolutely, this is a must watch of the year. Last one I want to shout out real quick was The Legend of Ochi. This movie did not get much fanfare, I think, when it came out. I saw some trailers for it. It stars Willem Dafoe. Finn Wolfhard also makes an appearance, but our main character is a young actress by the name of Helena Zengel. This is like a fantasy creature story that takes place on some sort of remote, I'm guessing Scandinavian. I don't know if it's an island or if it's some sort of
Okay.
like nation. It is a village on an island, but it's like a fictional island.
Yeah.
This girl befriends this kind of forest creature, this mythical forest creature who's like a part of this myth of that this like group of people has that live in this area. They're at war with these tribes. Essentially, they hunt them, they kill them, these animals. And this girl befriends this little one, this little baby one, and she learns more about the culture of these animals and how they work and how they interact. I guess this movie's really fun, sweet, heartwarming. It looks amazing. It was actually shot digitally, but it looks like it was shot on film. The film frame is really great in this movie. The cinematography is amazing. I love all the practical effects, and I just really like the story and overall how it made me feel. So I wanted to shout this movie out really quickly before we get into our top 10. But those are my 3 honorable mentions. Dante, why don't you go ahead and start us off with your top 10 unless you have anything else before?
Yeah, I just think in general this was a good year for you've brought up 3 very original movies. I think it was a great year for original movies, a great year to again broaden our horizons as film viewers and film enjoyers. But we also had the big franchises or blockbusters that totally pulled through. Missing my list were great moments like Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I know it was not, like a best 10 film of the year, but God damn it, I loved watching every second of it in that theater. So I think we had just a great balanced year this year where didn't seem to be any gaps in what we weren't missing much from this year. We got pretty much everything we wanted. Starting off with number 10, I've got Superman. This movie just keeps growing on me, dude. I really didn't think it would make it with some of the more prestigious films by the end of the year. And upon first watching, I really liked it. But upon second watching and upon an eventual third watch, like this movie is just speaking my language. This is everything I could want as a comic book fan. I want 500 Superman movies with Corn Sweat as Superman. All the outrage that's come out of the DC universe in the past, 10 years or so, and it all leads to this. It makes moments like this worth it. Everything you could ask for as a fan of the character, and feels like we're in good hands.
Yeah, Superman was really enjoyable. We watched this together, didn't we, at my house?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
we watched this together. We both really enjoyed it. We talked about it on the podcast already, so we have like some of our overall thoughts on the movie, or more detailed thoughts, anyways. But yeah, Superman was really enjoyable. It did not crack my top 10. It actually didn't even crack my top 20. I have Superman ranked 28, which is still fairly high out of 117 movies. I enjoyed it a lot, so I'm more than happy to have a sequel in the works already. Man of Tomorrow, James Gunn follow up. So really excited to see where James Gunn continues to go with Superman. And yeah, this was a really strong start. I think it's a very worthy inclusion on your top 10.
There are just moments in this film as a fan, like the apartment scene, things that show me that they understand Superman. And I think that gives it that extra, pride in my heart or enjoyment on a rewatch, is that the characters are very well understood here. And that's just so important in a superhero movie. I think Marty was right. We are going to these movies after all to see our characters. We are going to see the next installment of what's going on. And like you said, Man Tomorrow's filming now, and can't be more excited for it. What
Yeah,
do you got for number 10? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just really looking forward to seeing Corn Sweat carry the mantle of Superman for the next maybe 10 plus years. Like, you know, how he might
Yes.
grow with the character.
Some sort of
Yeah,
stability in
yeah,
the
exactly.
universe.
Hopefully we can get that. My number 10 is a film called It Was Just an Accident. This is directed by Jafar Panahi. This is an Iranian film, shot, I believe, in secret for the most part in Iran because
All
director
right.
Jafar Panahi is currently a fugitive of the government of Iran for
Okay.
his filmmaking. This movie was shot very secretively, although it doesn't really feel that way most of the time. But it was. This movie revolves around this man who is a mechanic. And one day, this person comes into his shop trying to get his car fixed with his family. And our main character believes that this patron is this man who kidnapped and tortured him for the Iranian military. And this guy, our main character, has been traumatized by this experience. Obviously, this is speaking to a lot of the stuff that goes on in Iran on a daily basis, how incredibly oppressive and fucked up that entire country's government is. Um, this movie does not shy away from that, but the movie takes a lot of different turns because no one can confirm if this is actually the guy or not. No one can actually tell for sure. Like our main character kidnaps this man who he suspects of being his former kidnapper and torturer, and is driving around with him unconscious in his van for days on end. And he, for multiple days at least, the story takes place over a few days, and he brings this man to like these different people who he thinks might be able to confirm the identity of him, and no one knows for sure. And it's kind of like comedic in the way that they try to figure out, is he, isn't he? And eventually our cast of characters grows to about like 3 or 4 different people. And they're thinking, we gotta kill this guy. Can we not kill him? It becomes like a really like moral quandary of what to do with this guy at a certain point. Movie takes a couple different cool turns. I don't really want to give it away for anyone that still wants to watch it, but I would highly recommend this movie. Very creative. I really like the screenplay, the story choices that were made, all the different character beats that we got as well. I've not really seen a movie quite like this before. This is also the first Jafar Panahi movie that I've seen. I know he's a very famous Iranian filmmaker, but I had not found my way to his work until this movie. So I definitely want to watch some of his other films now. This was a really good entry for me.
That's awesome. I appreciate just going through right now as you're talking about it. A lot of first time actors, second time actors, third time actors, not a whole lot more than that. I think
Yeah.
everybody in this film, it's one of their first couple films. Like what you say about Jafar being this fugitive of the Iranian government, like can't help but respect that you can crank out a movie this good, filming in secret in a country that you wanted in. That alone is an accomplishment worth being on this list.
Yeah, it feels very real. This movie does feel very realistic, like it was shot, obviously in real places with a lot of real people too, a lot of maybe non-professional actors. And it's also very funny. Like there are a lot of really fucked up funny
Okay.
scenes in this movie where the guy is like, our main character is deciding whether he should or should not bury this guy alive, and the guy is like begging for his life, saying, "Please don't bury me." Like, but it's funny in a really kind of fucked up way. There's some really like funny moments throughout, so I highly recommend.
All right. I got my number 9 up next. Still kind of staying in the Middle East in a sense. I've got Warfare as my number 9. I know this is not a film that's maybe as high up on some people's list, but I think there's just some technical brilliance on display. Use of space, claustrophobia, almost horror elements in this movie. Keeps the tension throughout. I don't know if I ever want to watch it again because it was just such a sweaty first watch. It felt like it all happened in the 90 minutes of the movie, but I think we talked about before, felt like it took a week to get through.
Yeah,
Just as stressful as they come, incredible sound design, the shows of force, a collection of all of, it seems like our favorite up and coming actors in Hollywood that haven't broke it too big yet. So just cool to have them here together on screen. And I just have a really good time with Alex Garland. Definitely not the last time I'll be talking about him today. Um, but I think he was in his bag this year. He has been for ever,
Yeah.
seemingly, but put out 2 really good films this year. Warfare was one of them for me.
Yeah, we've talked about Warfare a couple different times on the pod at this point, so I don't think we need to repeat ourselves too much. Yeah, this was a really good movie. Like, this is something that I really enjoyed. Like you said, all the same reasons. It was enjoyable, but in a very intense sort of
Yeah.
way, you know? Very visceral film. This is something that I would love to own on 4K and watch at
Oh, yeah.
home on my big OLED TV with surround sound, all that stuff. That would like be the closest thing you could ever get to going back to a theater to watch this movie, which I was lucky enough to see in the theater the first time, and it hits hard. Like, that's the main thing I could say
Yeah.
about Warfare is it hits really hard. A really brutal and I think realistic depiction of warfare, although I would never know myself, but it felt
Right.
very true to a situation that soldiers really do go through. It felt very true to life. And that's probably the best thing you could say about Warfare is how realistic and visceral it was.
Right.
I ranked this number 30 on my list this year.
Yeah.
So still very high. Still very solid. I would watch it again, but I would really want to watch it on 4K at home, on my big OLED with surround sound. I'm not really interested in watching this on streaming, on or anything
Right.
like that. But
Or
yeah,
on an airplane or on my phone,
yeah,
nothing to that. Yeah,
not
we're
the kind of
sitting
situation.
down and sweating this one out again.
Definitely.
I think what's cool is like the line of brotherhood, right? It goes from the Call on Me scene that it opens up the movie with, and they're all partying and watching the mixtape, to at the end showing all of Ray Mendoza's, buddies who were Navy SEALs with him, coming and meeting him on set, shaking his hand, meeting the actors. And so walking that like fragile line between what brotherhood actually is, encompassing all that, was just really cool for me to see. I think you've said it, like we have both not been on the front lines, thank God, and thank you for the people that do that so that we can sit here and have this podcast.
Hmm.
Um, but just the ultimate respect for them, and I think a lot of them have confirmed like this is a pretty great representation of what a day in Iran or Iraq felt like in that time. So uh, really good watch.
Yeah. Coming in at number 9 for me is Train Dreams. I think, Dante,
Yep.
you'll be talking about this one again very shortly.
Yeah.
This is Clint Bentley's quasi, I guess you could call it, so it's definitely a Western, but it's not a
Yep.
traditional Western in any sense. This is essentially a story that spans like the early 20th century in America. It follows our main character played by Joel Edgerton. He is a logger, and he's also someone who works on railroads, building the railroads during that period of time. It kind of just follows his life as he navigates the ups and downs of life, of Western frontier life of that time.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional movie at times. It is very dreamy, as the title would suggest. It feels very surreal and ethereal. This movie fucking looks absolutely amazing. I mean, the cinematography is some of the best of the year. That's the first thing that really struck me. But it's not just a pretty movie to look at that has no substance. This movie is
Right.
is really
Right.
interested in the psychology of our main character here, kind of how his life evolves and how it lifts him up at times, it beats him up at other times. There's one truly tragic event about a third of the way through this movie that kind of sets the tone for what the rest of the movie will be and how our main character is going to respond to that. Yeah, this is a movie that really makes you, at least made me, think about life, right? It made me
Yeah.
consider my life up to this point and where I will be in 50 years.
Right.
It's a movie that we really can spark some self-reflection. So I thought this is a worthy inclusion on any top 10 list. I wasn't really too
Absolutely.
aware of this movie before it came out. I think it premiered at Sundance about this time last year. So it had some early buzz, but I hadn't really heard about it until maybe, I don't know, a month before the release. Then that's when it finally made it to me that this is something I should maybe put on my radar. And I'm
Yep.
really glad it did. I would again love to own a physical copy of this on 4K. It's the only knock I could put against this movie is you can only watch it on Netflix. So,
Right.
but it's not a Netflix production. It was acquired by Netflix from the film festival, and it feels that way. This is a real movie that Netflix just
Yep.
happened to buy. Um, Yeah, it's also you have Felicity Jones in the mix, William H. Macy, Carrie Condon. Great little Carrie Condon cameo
Oh
towards
yeah,
the end when she comes in for
yeah,
the last, like, she's in there for about 15, 20 minutes. And the ending scene, I absolutely kind of love the ending when he goes up into the plane and he's
yes,
flying over, like, over all the scenery below, and he's just really like, considering
right. How small the world is
how
now.
exactly how small the world is, how small he is in the world, and also how the world has evolved so much over the course of his life. Yeah, really, really good movie.
Just so many good lines throughout. And I'm going to talk about it a bit more later, but in that scene, the hey, you better hold on to something. Just like, come on, man.
Hmm.
Like just spitting game the whole movie on just life advice and
Right.
uh double metaphors, all this stuff, like having a great time with it. So
Hmm.
um definitely not a fun watch, but a damn good movie.
A worthy watch for sure.
Absolutely. My number 8 coming up is another Alex Garland project. He went back to back for me. Danny Boyle returning for 28 years later. Now, I have not seen The Bone Temple.
Mm,
It came out this last week, right? Really excited to see it. Have been hearing really good things about it.
it's good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good.
Um, I think in a year with so many great first time performers, what separated this one for me was Alfie Williams' performance as Spike. He was, I mean, we came into this movie, we talked about it being kind of pitched on Aaron Taylor Johnson and our guy, Ray Fiennes. But Alfie Williams really makes it so this movie can have a sequel. I know it's centered around the Bone Temple and going to be centered around Ray Fiennes, presumably, but it feels like Alfie Williams is the carrying legacy of what's next for this franchise. So freaking cool that we're getting two 28 years movies or 28 movies this close in succession
Yeah.
after
Well,
years of not having
20
anything.
28 weeks apart, I do believe. Released
Right.
28 weeks apart.
Um, Speaking of movies that look fantastic, all shot on an iPhone here. Insane cinematography, fun editing choices, great sound design, like just technically fun and experimental and unashamed to wear what it is as a franchise. Because the first movie, especially 28 Days Later, had that guerrilla style filmmaking, had these weird cuts to it, had this like kind of crummy sound design almost intentionally. And this movie embraces that while evolving that into the year of 2025. And I feel like it was just such a good representation of what this franchise needs. It fulfills exactly where this franchise should be at this time. Um, Not exactly the movie I went in expecting, but it's all the better for that. Like it told me the story, and I sat back and took it in.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on any more 28
Yeah,
years later
yeah,
stuff from my end because this is coming up very shortly on my list. Before that though, number 8, I have Begonia. This is the new film from famed, I guess at this point, director,
yeah.
Greek filmmaker Yorgos Lanthimos, who has certainly made a name for himself over the past decade, especially with his last 2 releases. I think Poor Things was far and away his most popular movie, his most widely seen movie. That kind of, I think, brought him into like into a bigger realm of understanding with everyday kind of film fans. Although I
Yep.
think a lot of people might not still know his name if you're not a movie obsessed freaks like
Well, he's
us.
a critical darling at the Oscars
Absolutely.
too. He's just a shoo-in at this point.
Yes. Begonia stars Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. This movie is so funny in such a fucked up, weird sort
Yeah.
of way. Jesse Plemons is this conspiracy obsessed freak who kidnaps Emma Stone, who is the CEO of a major company in the United States, believing that she is an alien, hell bent on dominating the world. Um, the things that happen in this movie are kind of depraved or are incredibly depraved at times, really sickly funny, really fucked up in like the classic Yorgos Lanthimos sense of humor. Um,
Yep.
the 2 main performances here from Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone are perfect. They absolutely
Yes.
nail what is required of them in this story. Um, I can't really talk too much about the Emma Stone performance without giving too much away in this movie, but did you watch this movie one way the first time and then you go back and watch it a second time and you're watching like almost a different movie? You're definitely seeing the Emma Stone performance and the Jesse Plemons performance to a lesser extent in a very
Yeah.
different way
Yeah.
on a rewatch. Um, I just love the premise of this movie. As soon as I heard the premise, I was incredibly intrigued.
Yeah.
Obviously, not even to mention the people involved, but just the premise alone. It is based on an earlier, I believe it's a Korean movie called Save the Green
Right.
Planet. That is like it's essentially a remake of sorts. I haven't seen that movie, but this made me want to watch that. So I don't want to give too much away. The other thing I will say is
Don't.
Aiden Delvis, the new actor who plays the
Yes.
neurodivergent cousin of Jesse Plemons, is incredible. I mean,
He is excellent.
he is like perfect, and he really is neurodivergent in real life, and you can obviously tell that. And I'm just impressed that he was able to give this sort of performance, being someone of that sort of like mindset, I guess you could say, being that kind of person. I'm sure it's incredibly difficult to act in a movie, especially with these like seasoned um, filmmakers, right? Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, Yorgos
Yeah.
Lanthimos. It was awesome. So it was really, really great to see that sort of thing. That's just another like sort of Yorgos move, though, is to
Right.
put this guy in that role, right? And and to even write this character in the first place, it feels like it
Yeah.
totally fits the tone and the style of this movie. So I would absolutely recommend this to anybody. I mean, some people really might not like what it's going for. I guess maybe I should recommend this to everybody, but
Yeah.
I think everyone should give it a chance because you might like it.
There's
even if
there's
you
so
might
much
not.
in this movie that anyone could find a part that just makes their head spin,
Yeah,
at least.
it
I
it
would
could
think
be
so.
divisive. Maybe it's not for everybody. The tone is a little off, like most Yorgos Lanthimos films are. But I would just like everyone to see this because I want to hear people's reactions to it more than anything.
Yeah, so this is one of the most recent ones I've seen. I definitely want to give it that second watch. I had a great time with it the other night. Um, the lines and the line delivery from Plemons are great. Your hair has been destroyed. Your capital has no value to us. Like, just great lines. And I think it was cool after we've gotten so many sprinkles of Plemons where it's like, oh, he comes into the third act of a movie and he turns it upside down a bit and he has his 10 to 15 minutes of screen time and he's always great. It was cool to get an all the way Plemons performance.
Mhm.
So just cool to see him on screen that much. Emma Stone, this might, like, she has a pantheon of pretty good performances at this point. This is right up there. And like you said, just different angles every time you watch it. Um, I know the basic plot of this movie doesn't give away what's actually waiting for you in the movie. The basic plot of the movie tells you exactly what the movie is, and you can't guess what the movie is.
Yeah.
Um, I just have a question. If you could bet on one figure of power to be an alien, if we had to abduct someone thinking that we could hold them for ransom, who would it be?
This is a great question. I mean, I think Elon Musk is the obvious answer. I think that's maybe a bit too obvious. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say Elon Musk or Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Because even if he wasn't, he'd be so happy that he got abducted for being an alien.
Yeah, I
He'd be
think
ecstatic.
they should remake this movie with Joe Rogan in the Jesse Plemons role and Elon Musk in the Emma Stone role.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Zuckerberg can figure in
Or
there at some
Zuckerberg. Well,
point too.
Zuckerberg, I think, is definitely the right
Yeah.
answer.
Um, I was so excited to talk about this one. I'd love to talk more on and off the air with you about this because I had a really fun time with it. It missed out on my list. But like the score is so awesome and like horrifying in a weird way. And then you kind of figure out, like, piece together through the movie why the score is doing that. I think the one thing that held the movie back for me from just joining the list was I liked the layer peeling in the first half of the movie. And in
Sure.
the second half, it felt more like, okay, the cards are on the table. Now we're zigzagging and trying to confuse you.
Well, it takes a
And I
couple
actually,
different turns, and it
yeah,
deliberately tries to confuse you and throw you off the
right.
scent.
And the movie definitely accomplished that. I just liked the layer peeling better. I know this sounds really weird, but the first 10 minutes of this movie, I don't think I've been more locked into a movie this year. Of just like, dude, and he's feeding his cousin all the information, Teddy is, about they do this to us. This is part of their plan. Like,
Right.
and I had forgotten the whole, because the pitch of the movie is that they're convinced she's an alien. I had totally forgotten that part about the pitch too. So then when you start to realize how far gone he is and what his plan
Mhm.
actually is, you're like, what the hell? And so it was a cool one where, like, I'd heard the pitch when we talked about it, probably in our beginning of the year
Yeah, I
with
think
the
we.
summary pitch.
Uh-huh.
And then remembering, like, oh yeah, that's what happens in this movie. And then being confused and conflicted by it later, was just an awesome experience. A fun first watch, and I'm sure, like you said, a really fun second watch.
Yeah.
All right. I got my number 7. This is a movie I think we're both excited to talk about again, and we'll take any chance this year to talk about, and that is Weapons.
Sure.
I think a lot of movies had like really good motion behind them this year. We had some really cool events. We were excited for stuff like F1, excited for The Final Reckoning, Superman, Marty Supreme gave us something at the end of the year. But just the event that was Weapons and the trailers leading up to it and deciphering what this movie might be about, and then going to the theater and really figuring it out and putting together the pieces of those puzzle was just such a fun experience.
Yeah.
Such a fun time. I think I want to talk about this with you actually. So let's wait till you present it later.
Okay.
But this is something where like, yeah, it's on my list. It's number 7. We gushed about this on our podcast. I think if you haven't seen
devoted
Weapons,
a lot of time to this movie
right.
already.
If you haven't seen Weapons, go watch it. If you have seen Weapons, please watch our podcast on it, because it's just two guys geeking out about a movie that they loved.
Yeah.
But just everything you could have asked this movie to be, I think it was really close to being there. It was really close to meeting all of the stupendous billing up and excitement from us. Great performances all around, great premise, and excited to see what Krieger just progress.
Yeah. I guess I'll wait to talk about Weapons because again, I do have this coming up later on my list. Right now, we got to talk about 20 years later. I'll give you my perspective on that because at number 7, I have 28 years later. You hit it right on the head, Dante. I don't want to rehash anything you just said. We've also done a whole podcast about this movie too. You talked about Alfie Williams. I want to highlight Ralph Fiennes. Of course, Alfie Williams is the de facto main character in this movie, although I don't feel like we truly have a main character. Alfie Williams' character certainly is our point of view character. But Ralph Fiennes is just doing Ralph Fiennes shit, man. Like he continues to just blow me away with everything he does. I just love the roles that he chooses. And I love that this role, I don't know if it was written for him, but he certainly makes this role feel like nobody else could play it as Dr. Kelson.
As he does.
He's incredible. He is, at one point, he's really scary in the beginning of the movie before you even really meet his character. You're meant to fear him as, our main character does. But as soon as we meet him, we realize he's just like this funny, quirky, kind of kind soul who's actually really like doing something really nice and like honoring all the people who have died in this incredibly insane post-apocalyptic world that our characters live in. Ralph Fiennes is just, he's a revelation, man. I don't know, he's not a revelation because we've known about him. He is incredible in everything that he does, but he just comes into this movie that is already riding so high and takes it over and turns it in a completely different way that we were going for the first, hour of the movie. Ralph Fiennes just hijacks it and takes us from this incredibly gory, bloodthirsty, like really scary, visceral sort of movie and makes it something that's really contemplative and almost sweet. Really, and it's a totally different tone. It's really, his entire thesis on Memento Mori, remember death, remember you will die. Not necessarily a bad thing. Everyone will die. And to not necessarily celebrate it, but to accept it, and find peace in death, in knowing that you will eventually die. I just love the perspective shift, and I love that all of these 28 days, weeks, years, movies have continued to evolve, and 20 years later, like evolves this franchise like in a completely new way, both like in the world and in the idea of like the themes of the movie. Obviously, the zombies are evolving in this movie, just as like the themes and what Garland and Boyle are interested in.
They're so gross.
Are also evolving. We got to talk about the Bone Temple soon because obviously this movie leads directly into the Bone Temple. It ends with the Jack O'Connell flipping Jimmy's, tracksuit ninja scene. That is like, those guys are the main characters of the Bone Temple, of course, and with Ralph Fiennes. But yeah, 20 years later, everything you said, I can't believe this movie got shut out at the Oscars completely. No cinematography, no
No editing,
editing,
no sound,
sound, directing, makeup, all that,
original
insane.
screenplay.
Screenplay even, I know it's ridiculous, but,
Because to me, you highlighted Ray Fiennes, Cody, but like it takes a special actor to read that screenplay and commit to it and make it happen. Because it's a good screenplay, but I can imagine it would be really weird to read and figure out
sure.
where you're going in this film and what it's leading towards. And it takes an actor like Ray Fiennes to pull it off. You know, they Garland's a great writer. He could have made this into a book. He's made plenty of great books, but seeing it on screen with Ray Fiennes, you're right, it does just take it to the next level and makes this father-son horror tale into a mother-son reminiscent celebration of her life.
Yeah, it's like not
Crazy.
even a horror movie at
Perfect.
a certain point. You go from
Right.
this incredibly bloody zombie movie to this really like contemplative movie about the nature of life and death, and the circle of life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then we like 360 back around to like tracksuit ninjas sawing the heads off of zombies at the very end. So, yeah, I can't say enough great things about 20 years later. Very very excited to hopefully see the third installment in the trilogy sometime.
Right.
I guess next year. So hopefully that still comes out.
That you brought up all the zombies, but the scene with you think at first when you're introduced to the fat crawling zombies, you're kind of laughing at him, and Spike's putting arrows through him, and his dad's like, "Yeah, get him, Spike." And you're laughing about it, and then about 20 minutes later, you have the scene at night where they're
Yeah.
sleeping, and the fat
Uh-huh.
crawling slow zombie is crawling towards them, and you're like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." So they made everything from, Samson, this humongous zombie, with his everything exposed out and ripping spines out. They made him hilariously terrifying. Everything down to a crawling, disgusting zombie, gluttonous zombie,
Yeah, there you go.
gross as well. So just fun use of the zombies. What a fun franchise because it doesn't feel like one either. It's
No,
just fun original movies.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't really feel like a franchise, but it is one. And
Yeah,
like I said, this movie is completely different than the other ones in all the best ways. So, yeah, was a great, I wouldn't say surprise because I was definitely anticipating this all year, up until its release, and it totally hit the mark for me.
yeah. Just so cool that it exists after
Yeah.
all these years. That there's a story there, and it's a story very much worth telling. I got my number 6 coming in. I have Train Dreams as well, on my list. So it's number 6 for me. I encountered this movie, about a week before it came out. It just got cooked into my Twitter algorithm. They know I like
Mhm.
movies, so it popped up there. And I read the most insufferable tweet about the movie that almost made me not wanna watch it because "This is a story of a real man. People need to look up to this guy." And I'm like, "Oh god." Like, okay. Well, and it kinda pitched the movie wrong. But it was one of those, like, macho men who's like, "This is what America was founded on." And
Right.
it's like, "Okay." And then you watch it and you're like, "God damn it, this is what our country was founded on, people like this guy." And, I knew it was gonna be well shot. I had seen some of the shots of it. I'd seen the buzz, around the cinematography. I thought it was gonna be, like, slow and super contemplative. Not to say the movie's like a fast burn or, doesn't, take its time because it does. But I feel like I've seen the 3-hour version of this movie,
Mhm.
where it
Sure.
does add more context and gives you all this extra stuff, and really cool to see that it can be done in, like, an hour 40,
Yeah.
with to the same effect, and almost, like, drew a full-on, reaction out of me, especially at the end. We talked about that final scene, but this dude's just been through the ringer in life, and by the time the narrator finally shuts up a bit and we get to him in the plane, it's just you realize that this dude, like, you've lived his life with him, and everything that could point to, like, a life wasted or a man that didn't have a whole lot or was given bad hands by life ends with a man who is satisfied and full and remembers all the great moments of his life. And just a cool message, especially at the end of the movie. I didn't know William H. Macy was in this.
Mhm.
Holy smokes, he was great, man.
Yeah.
Like, I think this might be, I haven't seen all of his performances. This might be the best one that he's given, which I know is crazy to say when like Fargo's out there and all this stuff, but he was an amazing surprise. I'd just forgotten that William H. Macy was an actor, and then he pops on my screen. I'm like, oh yeah, like that's great. And Um, the feeling from Joel Edgerton as Robert Grenier that like he's eluding death and it's all around him, and at a point forgetting how to live and then remembering how to live by the end of his life is just beautiful. Um, and so to whoever pitched it to me on Twitter, you need to rewatch the movie and kind of figure out what it's actually trying to say to you. But for me, this was like the surprise of the year, as far as like something I went into thinking like, oh, it'll be well made and kind of a drag. And then really liking the story and the message that the movie told me.
Yeah, interesting that you saw the movie kind of pitched that way on Twitter. It certainly is a movie about masculinity when you think about it,
Yes.
but not in that sort of like overbearing, like modern sense of the word where it's like the idea of what is masculinity has been like completely talked to death, and I'm not really even really
Right.
interested in that conversation. Yeah,
Exactly.
this
Yep.
movie is a very, very different, like more nuanced and much more simple version um of that idea. So yeah, interesting that you saw that. I really thought of the movie that way, but I could certainly see that.
Yeah. Yep.
My number 6 is a film called No Other Choice. This is the new film from Korean legend Park Chan-wook, one of my personal favorite filmmakers. So I was very much anticipating No Other Choice leading up to its release. This movie follows a man in South Korea who's been laid off from his job at a paper company. And so he desperately tries to kind of keep together the aspects of this middle class life that he has built. He lives in the house that he grew up in. He has a wife, he has 2 children, they have, 2 dogs. He lived like this idealized version of middle class life. It's all kind of thrown away, or it's all kind of thrown into disarray when he's fired from his job. He works at a paper company. They're downsizing. They're going to automated systems. They don't need him anymore. So he desperately tries to find a new job, and in the process, he devises a plan where he identifies, I believe it is three or four, 3 other people who are vying for this new job at this paper company that he's trying to get. He identifies 3 people who are better than him, essentially, who are more qualified, and he aims to kill all of those people to eliminate them so he can get that job. This movie is
Incredible pitch.
it's a great pitch. It's so funny the way he goes about it because he's a paper mill worker, right? He's not a murderer. He's not a
He's
hitman.
not John Wick.
He's not John Wick. He is just this average everyday guy, and he's like now trying to devise all these like murders and come up with how he's going to not only commit these murders but hide the evidence. And what do you do and how do you actually go through with that sort of thing? It's almost like a comedy of errors up to a certain point. Um, and just the way that he like goes about it is like consistently hilarious. But it also is like not a straight up comedy. It's more of a black comedy because it's played for the most part very straight. It's not like a haha, look how like silly this guy is. It's like this guy will do whatever he needs to do to survive, and that's kind of what ends up making it funny. Incredible performances all around. Park Chan Wook is just like a master. Like, what more can you say about the level of filmmaking that director Park is on? It's like almost untouched. The cuts in this movie are amazing. Like, he has these like awesome scenes where it's like like these transitions where he like lays one frame on top of another, or the way he shows people using their phones in this movie is also really intriguing and creative. Um, it just I love this movie. Like, I really love Korean cinema, and this
Yeah.
is one of the best new Korean movies I've seen, probably since the last Park Chan Wook movie. Honestly,
Since
honestly,
Decision to Leave.
since Decision to Leave. So yeah, I'm always in the bag for Park, and he absolutely came through on this one. So if you haven't seen this yet, you got to put it on the list.
That's awesome to hear. I have not. I know I've said like this is the one that I think would be on my list, or I would project to like really like this year that I missed out on. It also has Lee Byung Hun. I think he's the main character in
Yes,
this.
he is. Yep.
We would know him from like Squid Game,
Right.
right? But he's a Korean cinema legend as well. Like he's someone who brings it to everything he's in. But like you said, like Korean cinema, Asian cinema in general, I think is like just a deep dive that everyone needs to go on. I have tested the shallow end of the pool and never been let down, and I'm so excited to do a dive on the director. I got Criterion Collection's Cure for Christmas as well.
Sure.
Ecstatic to watch that, right? And so I think everyone needs to like do themselves a favor. I need to do myself the favor and just deep dive into Asian cinema because it is has been nothing but awesome to me.
Yeah. Yeah. This was, I think, probably the best Asian movie that came out this year from any of the Asian cinema countries. Yeah, this movie actually just came out in theaters like last week. It's playing in theaters all around like me right now. So
Yeah.
I might go see it again in the theater, but I cannot say enough about No Other Choice. It's also very rewatchable. Like this is a movie
Okay.
that when you watch it 2-3 times, you'll notice things you didn't before. You'll pick up on key details you might have missed. And you're just gonna get a much better sense of the overall world. Yeah, No Other Choice. I know a lot of people like general audiences will not watch foreign films, don't want to read subtitles. Get over that because you're missing out
Do
on a lot
yourself
of
a
really
favor.
great movies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. From a foreign film to a very, in ways, American film is both our number fives.
Yes.
A crazy surprise this year too was Eddington. I think for both of us, this is one that we could go on like a 5-hour tangent about just every little part of the movie. Um, Ari Aster, man, like where do you start? He's wearing a couple different hats. He's doing whatever the hell he wants as a director, which is very respectable. And this movie is just, I think everything I liked about Begonia, but better. And that's not to slight Begonia at all. I just think this fully embraces all of its theories. It has a little bit more time to flesh everything out that it's trying to say. And just what a wild look into what 2020 was. The tagline of hindsight is 2020 is just, damn it, they got us. Eddington, New Mexico feels like a real place. The characters, despite how crazy and outlandish they are, feel like real people. I think we compared it in an earlier pod to Atlanta, that
Yeah.
kind of surreal realism where it's just a little bit elevated from reality, but maybe it's a little bit far off. But then you really look at it and you're like, is this too far off? And the movie is constantly putting you in front of things that you've encountered to the craziest degree.
Yeah. We talked about this one again before, but there's like so much to unpack in this movie that you could, like you said, you could spend hours talking about how nuanced and detailed and mirroring real life, but also incredibly like playing that up and satirizing real life. I mean, this movie does a lot. I mean, it's long
Yeah.
and it uses that runtime to great extent.
Yes.
All of the characters are outlandish, wild. This movie is like satirizing us so much that it like starts to become like it starts to just feels like almost surreal at a certain point how insane this movie is. But it totally is like an episode of Atlanta. How it is like so overplayed and so like the satirical nature of this movie is like so insane, and like all
Right.
the events that happen in this movie are so over the top, but they don't feel that far off from like real life at the same
Right.
time. It really is
Right.
holding a mirror up to us. Um, Ari Aster continues to make incredible movies that push the conventions of what we think independent film can be. I don't know if I would quite call this movie independent, starring like 4 incredibly famous people,
Right.
but it's Ari Aster is like continuing to do this shit that he does not care what people think either. Like it takes a certain kind of person to write and direct this movie and to have, the balls to put everything that's in this movie in here. And he does it without any qualms, it seems. Like it really seems like he just laid it all out there and just said, "Here you go, fuck it." And you make of this what you will. And I love it. It's been amazing.
Yeah. I think the brushing under the rug of this movie is kind of a shame, and that was
Yeah.
bound to happen with the subject matter. But I think, like you said, like it just gets to a point where you can't even be like, I can't even be mad at this. I can't be like offended by it because it's just, it's so out there that it gets me past the point of having an opinion about it, but then it gets me back to circle to think about it because it's so like, oh yeah, that kind of does happen in this world. One of my favorite lines in the movie was, "I am a much better human being than you." Just great, point blank, right to the point. Joaquin Phoenix is telling Pedro Pascal, Ted Garcia, and just these characters are so over the top. Sheriff Joe Cross, Joaquin Phoenix. I think it's funny that this is Emma Stone's other movie of the year
Right.
because it's very similar to Begonia in a weird way. Hysterical moments, just things that we cannot say on this podcast that are just hysterical in this movie. The concept of this movie is that people are just fucking crazy. I think that's one of the main things that's doing. I love the misspellings on the campaign slogan, like "you're being manipulated."
Yeah.
It's just great. And I think we've all seen people like this and seen them through our phones so much as well that we do get so desensitized to it. And the movie has a lot to say about that too. I think we've talked about, there's a moment in the middle of this movie though, where the movie becomes very real, kind of to start the third act. And after the firework needle drop, a great needle drop of Katy Perry's Firework, but a moment in this movie that had an audible like, oh shit,
Yeah.
oh, and like pointing at the screen reaction from me. If you haven't seen it, it is not for everyone. Dive in head first and see what you think. Because this movie will certainly give you an opinion.
Yes. This is like Begonia, I think, even to a, but like, this is very similar in several ways, but like that movie, like what I already said about Begonia, I would not recommend this to everyone, but I do recommend everyone see this movie because I think everyone should see it. I think everyone should have this experience because it is so reflective of the times that we previously just lived in and are still living in, that I think it is important that everyone see this to see one man's interpretation of how fucking insane everything was in 2020 and the years prior, even up to now, obviously. But I think the collective effort to sweep this under the rug is very calculated because people wanted to forget this, right? No
Yeah.
one wants to remember those times and be reminded of how ridiculous everything was.
Right.
But that's exactly what this movie is doing. And so I really wanted to see this get some Oscar nominations. It is more than deserving in several categories, at
It
least
is.
to make the short list, if not get some nominations. And this movie, as soon as it came out, everyone wanted to forget it because I think Ari Aster is confronting us on such a visceral level that really
And so
pissed a lot of people
soon
off.
still.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
soon.
Exactly. Not even a
It's
full 5 years removed.
right. It's really hard to pitch this movie to someone that's not like me or you that knows Ari Aster and knows Joaquin Phoenix besides just showing you a picture like this guy. And everybody knows Pedro Pascal and Emma Stone at this point, but it's really hard to pitch what this movie is and to get someone just on the pitch and be like, yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. A small town in New Mexico during COVID for a mayoral election. Oh, that sounds great. You know? But then you watch it and it embraces the hell out of its pitch, but also goes in so many different directions that it's special, man. I really like this movie. I've had a rewatch of it now too, and I can confirm, like for me, it held up every bit on a rewatch.
I think this says a lot about you, how you feel about this movie. And I think I see
Yeah.
a lot of people logging this movie on Letterboxd and not rating it because I think some people are afraid to, I think that people feel like they're outing themselves a bit based on how they felt about this movie. I think this is a very good litmus test of how you
Right.
perceive the world. So
Well, they laughed when they shouldn't have, or they are mad about something that they didn't
Yeah.
realize they were mad about till now, and they don't. Yeah. I'm.
This
We
movie is
don't
going
have to
to
talk
age
all-
incredibly well. This movie is
Oh,
going to
man.
age
Oh, man.
incredibly well.
It's funny because it could really be. We have everything pretty much documented from COVID because it's all on the internet.
Yeah.
This might as well be shown as like we can at least put you in the mindset of those people like 70 years from now. It wouldn't be a documentary or anything like that, but you could say like, yeah, this was going on in a lot of our country. And you would not be far off. It would be
I think-
ridiculous, but you would not be.
is this a weird comparison to make? But I want to kind of liken it to Oliver Stone's JFK a bit in
Okay.
a weird way because obviously JFK, I mean, Eddington is not presenting as fact, and JFK is presenting as fact, but JFK is also incredibly factually inaccurate, and
Mhm.
but is presenting this imagined world of reality as fact, um, kind of satirizing it, but not really satirizing it, not nearly to the extent that Eddington is. But just the idea of this is what that time could have been like, or it's like an idea of
Right.
what it was like to be there, although this isn't exactly factual. Yeah, I want to watch this again in like a couple years, maybe, and see how it feels then. I think we should show this in schools. What do you think? Fourth grade, make them watch Eddington.
Right. Right. I think so too. Um, Especially the scenes with our Kyle Rittenhouse Jr. in this movie is
Oh
basically
God,
what the kid turns into by the end. His his arc can be studied on just
sure.
the conflict of a white kid in school, like a white man in school or a white boy in school. Just the trying to impress a girl, not really knowing how to, uh, doing something that totally does not feel right to you, but you're trying to make it feel right to impress a
Uh
girl, getting your own gun, doing
huh.
just saving the mayor of your town, and then
Mm,
becoming a TikTok star, and just like skips a ton of beats with this kid. But for that arc alone, like that just twist on it, and then realizing what they were doing with the kid was hysterical to me by the end. So every bit of this movie, every character has like a little piece to play. Austin Butler's just in the background, having a great time as well. Again, like you're gonna have to cut me off, dude, because I can talk about this movie forever. I had a great time with it. I agree with you. We should show it in schools. Uh,
the kids
the
want to see
data
Eddington.
centers, the kids yearn for Eddington
I'm just glad we got it, and I'm glad Ari Aster is still out there just doing this kind of shit and not caring about if anyone likes it or not. Like I
unabashedly,
needed to keep
pulling
doing
no
it.
punches. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to number 4. My number 4 is Weapons. So
All
Dante,
right.
this was what did you have this ranked as? You
I
had
have
this
this
number
as my
7.
my number 7. Yep.
I have this at number 4. So I also enjoyed Weapons a lot. We talked about it on the pod a couple different times. We were anticipating it. We talked about our anticipation for it. Then we finally got to see it. We gushed about how much we enjoyed it. And I still like this movie so much. I think what you said about like the lead up to this movie, and then our eventual enjoyment was really smart because this is something that we were anticipating all year, and this really lived up to the hype. I had a great time watching it the first time. I've watched it a couple times since, and it has really held up. I was very happy to see Amy Madigan get a Best Supporting Actress nomination for her role as Aunt Gladys. Shut out of I think all the other Oscar categories,
No
which
best makeup,
no makeup. We can get
which is
into that later.
yeah, yeah.
We can talk about that on the Oscar pod. But Weapons, fourth best movie of the year for me. I just really love original horror films, like movies that are completely different. Nothing we've really not seen a movie quite like this. I mean, obviously it's pulling from some very obvious staple films that we know and love, but
Yep.
it's putting a very unique twist on that. Just the overall premise, I think is very smart. We love Zach Kreger. He's 2 for 2. Incredibly excited to see what he does next, but incredibly satisfied by his sophomore offering Weapons. Can't say enough about it. I've said a lot about it already, so I don't want to talk too much about it. You've already talked about it as well. I think I've already said on previous pods all of like
Yeah,
everything I really love about this
all the
movie.
praises.
If you haven't seen it, see it. This is one of the best movies of the year. It is original, it's funny, it's scary, it is very unique. Original and unique, basically the same thing there. But what more can you say about this movie
Right.
other than
I
go
I
watch
feel
it?
like it has a good hit rate. I feel like people who are not, traditionally loving a horror movie can go into this and figure out
Sure.
a good entry point, can be drawn in by the pitch, and then realize that it's not all as scary, as it seems.
It's not like
There
super scary,
right.
no, but it has some good scare moments in it.
There's some universally great humor to me
Yeah.
in this movie, just hilarious moments. Um, Josh Brolin's delivery of "What the fuck?" after
Yeah.
his dream is great. And then things that make you ponder too, like Josh Brolin's Dream, for instance, which I think is as good as this movie gets. Just no explanation behind it. Seeing an assault rifle over a house, interpret it how you want. The director maybe has an interpretation, but isn't going to tell you either. And just like I said, like this was walking the line so well this year between those franchise big blockbuster type movies and a completely original movie. This is a completely original movie that turned in to this big blockbuster and this big event. It felt like everyone saw this movie when it came out and just made use of its release window. Did some reruns in theaters, was
Yep.
super successful, and I'm glad it was because it deserved to be, undoubtedly.
Yeah, I was happy that this movie was as well received as it was and that it was so popular. I think a lot of people have seen this movie, and I think that speaks to the general appeal. I think you could not be a horror fan at all and not even really enjoy scary movies and still enjoy this movie quite a bit. My mom is one of those people, for example. I watched
Right.
this with her and some other friends, and she was terrified of the idea of watching a movie like this with this premise and knowing that it was going to be a quote unquote horror film. And she definitely was scared at times, but when it was over, she said she really enjoyed it. So I think that more than anything tells you that this is going to be a movie that people watch for years to come. Like if you haven't gotten to this movie yet, put it on the list. I mean, definitely put it at the very top of your list. This is a movie I think people will talk about for years to come and going to be one of the defining films of this year as we move on.
Agreed.
Yeah.
My number 4, so this is kinda it's weird for me because I watched it today, so I'm still gathering my thoughts about sentimental value. I just really liked it, man. I like these kind of movies. I like the family themes. I like the kind of, grief theme in a movie, which I know is a weird thing to seek out in a movie, but I like the feeling that this film gave me. Joachim Trier's, uh on our radar, it kind of seems like a second effort because I think we all had Worst Person in the World on our radar. But besides that, a lot of his films have not been marketed over into the American audience. He's a Norwegian filmmaker. This is a Norwegian made film. Stellan Skarsgård really wants that to be known in some of his acceptance speeches, which are well deserved, man.
Yep.
He is great in this film. I think he oversold himself on being a horrible father. I don't think he was like the best father by any means, but I don't think he was like Logan Roy bad. I think it reminded me a
No.
bit of that in a way, but I don't think he was the worst father in the world in this movie. Renate Hines, I think I'm saying that right now.
I
I've heard
believe it
so
is.
many different.
I always thought it was Renata Rensby, but I have no clue. So say it
And
however you're going
I
to say
thought
it.
she was French at first, and I thought French was an H for an R, and
You're
good lord,
sorry.
um,
She's a great actor, but we just
we're-
can't say her name.
and so cool that we can't say her name because that's just a cool
Yeah.
actress thing to have, tied to you. But just really impressive performance. I think pretty much everybody is nominated from this movie for acting
Yeah.
roles, and I think that's very fair. I really like the Elle Fanning character, Rachel Kemp. I appreciate that she was not shitty in any way whatsoever. I think this movie could have had some more conflict in it and made Rachel shitty or made the daughters a little bit more jealous of Rachel or had a blow up moment between Stellan and the daughters or anything like that. And it just doesn't. It's a very adult film in that like it talks things out. They have a relationship that is not the best, but they try to exist with each other. There's moments like Stellan saying, I could never marry an actress right in front of his daughter
Yeah.
who is an aspiring actress, Nora. So there are things that cut deep, but there's never that moment of like a fight in this movie, which I really appreciated. I think just the themes of sentiment and how it's different to everybody and how, someone who's on their last leg in life in Gustav, Stellan Skarsgård's character, perceives what their life has become in a different way from what Train Dreams was, but the same kind of notes, the same kind of themes behind it, and just had beautiful moments to it, beautifully shot. I am still gathering my thoughts, but I do know I loved this movie. I know it definitely belongs on my list at number 4.
Yeah, I think the opening sequence with the house, it talks about the
Yeah.
idea of this house and how it has changed and how our main character kind of perceived it as a child and how it really like represented their like their life in a lot of ways and thinking
Right.
how a house can hold so many memories and
Right.
sentiments, right? Or playing into the idea of sentimentality, sentimental value. Yeah, this movie is very, very layered, and I think it's impossible almost to grab everything that it's trying to
Right.
give you on a first watch. Like this movie that I have to rewatch, I have this ranked at number 19 of the year. So again, I really enjoyed this, but it just didn't quite crack my top 10. Um, Obviously, this is like an acting showcase. Like you said, everyone in here is nominated. I think the person that really stood out to me was Inger Ipsdottir Ilias, or
Yep.
Inga Ipsdottir Lilius, who plays one of the other daughters, or the other daughter in this movie. She's a real find. I had never seen her in anything before. I'd never heard of her. She's incredible in this movie. Of course, Stellan Skarsgård is like just turning in great performance after great performance. Like he is like one of the
Yeah.
most consistent actors we have right now. Yeah, this movie has a lot in it. I mean, this is like a 5-course meal of themes, overarching ideas,
Yeah.
even little detail stuff that you miss. This movie made me feel kind of smart because about
I saw
halfway
that.
through I about halfway through the movie, I instantly knew what the final scene was gonna be
Right.
when Stellan Skarsgård is talking about this scene in his movie that is like that how we're gonna shoot it and how it's
This is
gonna
how it's gonna
happen
end.
and
Yeah.
how his film is gonna end. I instantly knew that was gonna be the end of our movie, and I was spot on.
Yep.
So, little tip of the hat to myself on that one. Um, I really enjoyed this, and I really wanna watch it again, but it's kind of weird to say that because this is not a happy film, right? This is not something that's gonna you're
No.
not gonna leave the movie with this great, like, uplifting sense of the world or of yourself or of family. It doesn't end on a tragic note. It actually ends on probably the most upbeat note of the entire
Right.
film, but the movie itself is not, like, meant to make you feel, like, good about yourself at the end of the movie. It's been meant to confront you with tough ideas about
Right.
family and about the relationships we have with the people that we love so
Yeah.
much, and how they kind of evolve over time.
I think it's while you say it's not meant to make you feel good about yourself, I don't think it's also meant to make you feel bad about yourself either.
No,
Like,
no.
it's just and this is what I was touching on with, like, it just feels it's such a mature movie. They talk things out, they coexist, and it's like and that sounds so boring when I'm talking about it as a pitch for a film, and I thought this was gonna be and it was a slow burn, but it had such a good sense of its characters, and I feel like the story was just a good enough pitch to keep you along, and then you start to see Stellan trying to reassemble Gustav and his old crew, and he's realizing, like, "I'm the only one left out of
Right.
us that's making movies at this point."
Uh-huh.
And even, the guy says, like, "We're not gonna do a lot of handheld stuff." He has a Kane, his cinematographer,
Yeah.
and I I appreciate even, like, Elle Fanning's character, the little intricacies with, like, why would I just be speaking in English when everybody else has an accent? And
Mhm.
I'm just speaking in an American accent. Everybody else has this Norwegian accent. And so I appreciate small moments like that the movie really seemed to know what it wanted to say, and delivered home with every message. I saw your review about it, and so I was thinking a bit towards the movie, like, okay, what is the final shot going to be? It gave itself away
Yeah.
pretty well, especially once you're looking for it too. It was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that makes sense. Um, I also had a guess though, and I logged it at 37 minutes. Is she because this is right after the Elle Fanning beach scene, with Gustav, and they're talking about making the movie, and he kind of grabs his heart at the end of that scene. You're like, okay, he's on his last leg. And then it cuts to Nora, Renate Heinsva's character, and she is taking a pride in her stage acting, but really telling them how the stage production should work. And I was thinking, oh, is she gonna direct the movie?
Mhm.
Like, is she going to and while I would have liked to see that version of it too, I think that would have been a little wrinkle for it to play out. I think it's cool that it made us think about that and like maybe her values are somewhere else. Maybe she's not an actress, but she's the one that he wants for this role. And the sentiment behind that, casting his own daughter in his final film, is beautiful. When she finally gets to read the script, and you're hearing her say the same lines that Elle Fanning's character was saying, and Elle Fanning, you're thinking when she's saying them like, "Oh, Rachel is doing a great job at acting right now," and Elle Fanning is acting as Rachel, acting as Gustav's mother in this scene, and then Nora gives the dialogue at the end and just completely breaks down and delivers the scene perfectly, naturally, because it's so important to her. And I think the project that Gustav had chosen was one with also a lot of sentiment
Right.
behind it. So it made for a really cool and just important scene. I really like this movie.
Good. Yeah, good year for foreign film. Huh? I think that's the third
Yes.
non-English language film we talked about. So, plus another honorable mention there. So
That's awesome.
we have the same number 3, which
Yeah.
is Marty Supreme, Josh Safdie's table tennis Odyssey, starring Timothy Chalamet and Odessa Zion, along with a colorful cast of supporting characters. We just did a pod about this like a week ago, so we've
Yeah.
already talked a lot about this. We both fucking love this movie. Just
Yeah.
incredible vibes, incredible tension throughout. I'm an incredible fan of the Safdie brothers project that's been ongoing since their debut. I mean, I've loved these guys for a long time. I came to them with Uncut Gems, Josh and Benny, but I have since completed, over the years, the Safdie brother discography. This fits incredibly well into the high tension, high drama, almost like guy digging himself a guy just digging himself a deeper hole every scene sort of movie that the Safdies are really great at. This is a solo effort from Josh Safdie. And yeah, this movie kind of took the world over for like a couple weeks, and rightfully so.
I'm still like riding high off this movie. I had such a great time with it. Like a month later, I'm still like, it's Marty Supreme. It's Christmas Day. Like it's still happening. It's still an event to me. I tried and failed miserably to try and pitch this movie to a couple people today because just the ping pong movie. And I was like, I'm not going to win this one.
Yeah.
But I'd encourage people to branch out and see this film. Whether you're like a geek that loves the Safdie brothers and has seen Uncut Gems and seen some of their prior works, or if you're a Chalamet fan, whatever you are, I'd challenge people to watch this movie because I think it is another watch where it's going to give you something. It's going to give you some sort of moment. I felt like there were so many eureka moments in this film and in its marketing, even leading up to it. It's an original ball for an original guy. It's the Marty Supreme ball. Like just stuff like that is
Marty
just
Supreme Bowl.
This is why we do it. Like this is filmmaking at its finest to me. I really love the Safdie brothers, both their style, and bringing in actors like Kevin O'Leary, who's now an actor in an Oscar nominated
Who's now
film.
vying for the new Bond villain role. Have you seen that? He's been saying that
really?
he's saying he wants to be the new villain in the James Bond film, in the Denis Villeneuve movie.
He directing Kevin O'Leary. Could you
Not gonna
imagine,
happen.
man? Not going to happen at all. Wouldn't mind seeing that. Maybe Abel Ferrara would be a good
There you
Bond
go.
villain as well, right?
Yeah.
Lots of great actors in here, giving the performances of a lifetime. We've talked about Gwyneth Paltrow's performance, just how ballsy of a role this was, coming back after a few years, having a little bit of weird self-awareness, and giving this performance that's wonderful for her 10 minutes of screen time. And then Chalamet just carrying this damn thing on his back. Really, I mean, all of it depends on him, and he did not let us down in the slightest.
Yeah, I think Chalamet is leading the best actor race right now for the Oscars. Again, we don't want to get too much into the Oscars right now because we're going to talk about that on a separate podcast. But I think that just speaks to the greatness of this performance. In a world of, and especially in an industry of white balls, this movie is an orange ball. That's all.
That's
That's
right.
that's all I have to say about this movie. I think that's the greatest thing you could say about this movie is it's incredibly unique. It is very much of its own style, and it stands out. And that's what we want from the movies, and that's what Josh Safdie has given us with this one. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well summarized. I think I'm gonna agree with you here, and I'm gonna keep my top 2 as your top 2 as well. This has
Okay.
been very hard. So for me, I think for you, it's the 2 kind of switching places, or maybe these are your 2 5-star movies. For me, it's the
Yes.
top 3. Marty Supreme's right up there for me.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna ride with you on this one.
Okay.
And
So
go with our number
on the
2.
list you have sent me right now, you have One Battle After Another at number 1 and Sinners at number 2. But you said we're flipping that.
And ask me again in 5 minutes, we can flip
Okay.
it again.
Because
Yeah.
that's what I have. I have for my second best movie of the year, I have One Battle After Another. This movie, I mean, we did a pod on all of these, but one battle after another. I think we talked a long time about how fucking awesome this movie is. I've seen it a couple times since then. I think I've seen it twice since we did that podcast on it. So I think I've seen it 3 times now. Actually, just got the 4K on the shelf behind me over there.
Oh,
So
cool.
incredibly excited to watch that. Um, Fucking Paul Thomas Anderson, man. He just is the best. Like, he is maybe the best working filmmaker. Him, Christopher Nolan, Tarantino. I mean, there are a few incredible ones. Park Chan-wook is in that conversation as well.
Yep.
But this might be his best movie. Like, honestly, this could very well be his best movie. I think There Will Be Blood is still maybe edging this one out. And you could
Yep.
also maybe throw Boogie Nights in there. But anyways, one battle after another, incredible. Just everything about it, man. The performances from DiCaprio, Chase Infinity, Tiana Taylor, the way this movie just grabs you from the opening scene. It is so different. It is like a quintessential Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Like it's offbeat. It's funny at times. It's incredibly serious at times. It is super unique and just like of nothing that was released this year, really like nothing we've seen in a very, very long time. And it's truly original and it is revolutionary.
Yeah, revolutionary. Great. I just I had the rewatch a couple weeks ago and it just confirmed everything you said to me. You know, you get out of the theater, you think, God damn it, we do make them like this still.
Yes.
You know, it's not that we don't make them like this anymore. It's we make them like this still. And then you sit on it and you think, man, I should watch that again. And then you watch it again, and that rewatch can tell you a lot of things about the movie and about the first sitting. And if I wasn't going to drop it to like 3 stars or something, I knew that, but just confirmed everything I liked about the movie and enhanced it. And again, this is one just chocked filled with performances. But the big one to me is Leo and Sean Penn, just larger than life. But Chase Infinity, man, she's acting in a Paul Thomas Anderson movie with all these great actors and like not missing a single beat, not giving them an inch, not conceding to them. She is dominating the screen time that she's in. She has this amazing screen presence to her from the first scene of her doing karate with Benicio, another great fun performance in this film. And I think she's the real grounding factor to the movie. Everybody feels larger than life, and she feels like a 16-year-old. And that's exactly what she needed to do. And I can't imagine how much skill that performance takes around again, these big actors, but B, these actors that are really going for it. And you're supposed to be the heart and the grounding nature of the movie. And she just pulled it off wonderfully. That's my big take on the second watch. I already loved it, had everything to say about it that you had to say on the first watch, but really solidified like Chase Infinity is a star.
Yeah, she is an absolute star. I think she's going to be in our lives for years and years to come. I hope so anyways. And if she doesn't pull this role off, I think this movie borderline like falls apart. Like I think if she does not do what she does in this movie as well as she does, I don't think it works. And she absolutely nails it. I mean, you know that DiCaprio and Sean Penn are going to nail their roles. Like that's what they fucking do. That's why these guys are these guys. But to be someone brand new in your first feature film, like you said, directed by one of the greatest to ever do it, acting with a couple of the greatest to ever do it, it can be incredibly intimidating. Like I can only imagine how nervous she must have been, like her first couple days or weeks or whatever on set. And you don't see it at all. I mean, she's a total pro. I think she is really, she obviously is the revelation of this movie. She's the big discovery here. This is a movie that I think a lot of people can watch and enjoy. I mean, it does have some politics in it. It does take a stance, I guess, at certain points, but it's never like preachy or condescending or annoying. I watched this with my family, my mom and my dad and my brothers over break. Everybody loved it. We also had some friends over it. Everyone loved it. I think this is like a really unconventionally kind of crowd pleasing movie. It's incredibly satisfying towards the end. It hits every single beat that it needs to. Like everything it tries to do, it absolutely succeeds on. This is a 5-star movie for me. This is one of 2 movies I've given 5 stars this year, and we'll talk about the other one very shortly.
I think you nailed it. Like the end could be incredibly cheesy, it is not cheesy. Like it could land in such a weird place because it does just feel like, oh, all these crazy things happen, and now we're just wholesome and kicking it
Uh-huh.
back Christmas morning, and it almost feels, and it's not degrading to Paul Thomas Anderson's filming style because he's, like we've said, one of the best. It almost feels like a commercial at the end where she's walking out to go with her friends and she's saying bye to the dad.
Sure.
It just feels like it's the start of like a car commercial or something. But in like the best way and fits the themes of this movies and is like really poignant at the end. I think like you said, it doesn't take a stance. It definitely makes fun of a lot of things. It parodies with the Christmas adventurers, especially.
Yep.
Um, but also it shows the fallout, even though it's showing from the perspective of the French resistance, French 75,
Yeah.
right? Even though it shows from their perspective, it shows the fallout of what happens to them. Like it shows, Alana Haim's character getting shot in the head. It shows somebody getting kidnapped. It shows, like it does not pull its punches on showing you like, yeah, this great crazy life they're living, but
There's
um,
consequences. Well, I don't
you
even
see
know
how
if they
they
have a
end up.
great life. I don't know if it ever
Right.
is actually like endorsing the life
Sure.
that they're living, but it's just
Right.
showing it to you and it's having you make up your own make up your own mind about should these people be doing this? Should they not? Is this a good use of your time? Is this moral? Is this just? This movie doesn't take a stand. And that's why I think it really can be crowd pleasing is because it doesn't tell you one way or the other these people are good or bad.
Yeah.
It just says these people are as they are.
Just telling
You
you a
make up your
story.
own mind.
Yep.
Um, yeah, we talked a lot about this before. I don't really know what else we can say about One Battle After Another, other than
I have,
it's going to win Best Picture. I'm going to say it right now. I
I
mean,
think so.
that's not a controversial take
Right.
by any means. But if I'm going to put some money down on the Oscars this year, I'm definitely going to
Yeah.
bet One Battle After Another for Best Picture.
I think it's PTA's moment. Like this is his, if it's not his best work, it is his moment, no matter
Yeah.
what. Like it's been inescapable. I know, like I don't watch a whole lot of SNL, but did you see the sketch with the One Battle After Another
No.
action figures?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's like 2 minutes. It's so worth it. Action figures from your favorite film this year, and the kids get One Battle After Another action figures, and it's with you'll watch it. It's
Okay, okay.
hysterical. It's
Okay.
hysterical.
All right, our number one. We have the same top 3 this year. Our number one best movie of the year is Sinners from Ryan Coogler and Michael B.
100%.
Jordan. This fucking blew me away again. We've talked about it before, but man, I have not had an experience like this in a movie theater in at least, I mean, a couple of years, right? Like there's maybe one movie like this every 2-3 years that comes out
Right.
that really captivates me in one way or another. This year, or last year, I should say, 2025, it was Sinners, because this movie just has everything I could ever want in a movie: action, violence, comedy, sex, like incredibly big ideas about the history of like culture and entertainment. And it's also a fucking vampire movie. It's also like
Right.
a fucking horror vampire movie from in the style of From Dusk Till Dawn. There's this like it's incredibly original and creative, and this is what we want from movies, and that's why this is my personal number one movie of the year.
Yeah.
Is because this is the type of shit I go to the movies to see, and I don't get it as often as we should. And that's it. That's what I got for you.
I think we both, we kind of knew Marty Supreme was going to live up to that Safdie brothers reputation. PTA is going to put out a banger because he does. We both really liked Ryan Coogler. I don't think either of us knew, and I think we've said this, like, you had this in your bag, dude.
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes. I know he's made some impressive projects with Creed is an impressive revival of a franchise. I think Black Panther 2 is an insanely impressive work that movie even exists. All the hardships that,
Yep.
Went through with making that movie, all the heaviness attached to it. And then Sinners does just feel like a cherry on top, the end or a start of a great run for Ryan Coogler. Just the movie he was made to make. Another piece of like great casting out of what's not obscurity anymore, Jack O'Connell.
Yeah.
He's on a little run now.
Well, he had been,
Um,
doing some great work in the UK and, for many years leading up to this. But this was, I think,
Right.
both of our introductions to Jack O'Connell.
Yes. Yeah. Miles Catton, another stroke of just brilliant casting. I think a lot of the things we've talked about with other movies are the brilliant casting choices, and one like Miles Catton showing up. Somebody take me. Like, come on, man. Wunmi Mazaku, who's been great in a ton of different things. I think we were laughing because we rewatched Batman vs Superman this year.
Oh yeah.
She's like a tiny part in that and gets thrown in front of a train.
I
in a
always think of
subway.
her role in Loki, the Loki series.
Oh yeah, yeah. But just putting her in something that it doesn't feel like she's been in, and perfect. Jamie Lawson, just going down the list, like
Haley
all the supporting
Steinfeld.
characters are great. Haley Steinfeld, Michael
Come
B.
on.
Jordan are great. Buddy Guy, Delroy Lindo.
Delroy Lindo, Oscar nominee.
So excited that he got nominated. Well deserved. But I think too, like this is another one like Smoke and Stack. You got Delta Slim. Sammy is a great name. Remick. Like these names stick with us. I think it's cool when people like us, especially who like know the directors and love pouring ourselves into figuring out who the actors are. When we remember a character name that quickly off rip in an original franchise, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And just getting us to latch on to who these characters were, characters that we should not relate to at all, but can just love. Like I adore these characters. I adore Smoke and Stack. I love Smoke's struggle, and then at the end, don't get that smoke on me, like drove me to fucking tears the last time I watched it. I don't think there's a movie quite like this. I don't know how to summarize it because it's just a work of, it's only at the movies. That's really what it is. You can only get this in the theater. You can only get this with crazy people making their dreams happen, and people like Ryan Coogler, who I think, again, like we didn't know he had this in his bag. We talked about this at the beginning of the year, like, oh, that'd be cool. A new Coogler movie. It's a vampire movie. The trailers were fine. And then he puts out that little Kodak clip of him explaining.
Talking about the film
And all of a sudden
formats.
you're like, holy crap, something in the air has changed around this movie. And you're starting to hear little inklings of Ludwig Göransson's score, which incredible. Like, and how can you not say it's one of his best works in a laundry list of incredible works? Something in the air changed, and when it came out, I think like April 19th, it just took everything by storm, kicked off. Really, this felt like the kicking off of movies this year.
Yes.
Was Sinners. And I don't think we reached those heights. I've given this 2 rewatches. And it's just, I don't think I've ever itched so much for a second watch of a movie that wasn't something that I was previously a fan of.
Mhm.
Like a Batman, like something like that, right? That I'm just like, I want to dig into this and rewatch it from a fan perspective. I wanted to rewatch this because it was just awesome. It was so good. And I don't know what else to say about it, man. It was just great.
I mean, yeah, when I saw this in April, it totally felt like the kicking off of movie season for real of 2025. This was a huge high, and I kept waiting for something to beat it, and nothing ever did. This was like came out and just grabbed me and really like said, this is something to fucking pay attention to, and this is something we're going to be talking about for the next 9 months, where through award season. I had it pegged for a lot of these Oscars as soon as I saw it, and that was before a lot of these other movies that were nominated have even come out, right?
Yeah.
It's set the record for most Oscar nominations ever with 17. Rightfully so. It's going to win
Insane.
quite a few
Yeah.
of those. This is my personal best picture. Like if I were voting, if I were a Academy member, I would be voting for Sinners. This is like just such a movie that we don't get a lot. We don't really get this kind of shit. I don't know if we'll ever quite get a movie like this again. I'm sure we'll get a lot of kind of copycats in the wake of this movie. We'll get some movies trying to cash in on this sort of idea, style, the kind of themes that this movie tries to tackle. But no one's ever going to do it like this. We've heard rumors about the extended universe of Sinners. Are we going to get a sequel? Are we going to get a this or a prequel or
Tom
whatever?
Cruise is interested.
I hope we don't. I would rather just
Never.
have this as it is, because this is perfect. This is the best movie of 2025. This is one of the best movies I've seen in the past several years. And this will certainly find a place very high in my best of the 2020s list when we do that in another 5 years.
Absolutely. I think it's always so early to get into legacy talks the year of, but how can you not with how good this movie
I
is?
think
Like, how
it's
can
I think
how
it's
could we
relevant in
not?
this case.
Right. And well deserved. I think we had a couple movies like that this year, One Battle After Another being another one where it's just like,
Definitely.
how can you not talk about the catalog of this filmmaker or where this stands in the 2020s already or just the 21st century already? And that's cool. We, like you said, this is a true treat. And I think the top of this year could go like bar for bar, scene for scene with any year
Yeah.
of film. It's really impressive.
I want to say I think these two are 1A and 1B. One Battle After Another and
Right.
Sinners are 1A and 1B. They're easily interchangeable. You, as you just showed yourself, you're not even sure which one you really like
Mhm.
more. For me, I do like Sinners a bit more, but it's really just because I love genre and I love all the genre elements, the vampire aspect to it, how bloody and gory it is, and really
Right.
funny. But really, the musical aspect of this movie too is something that I knew nothing about going into it. It was not expecting this one massive operatic musical sequence where we go through the entire history and lineage of music over the past however many hundreds or thousands of years. And that's like really what kind of elevates this movie, I think, just slightly above One Battle, is how ambitious it is and how incredibly successful it is in achieving those ambitions.
Yeah. I think, the final scene too is just, it was funny when, Chalamet got up there and was like, "I finally watched that final scene. That was sweet, dude." And
Oh,
it's
you're at
like,
the post credits.
yeah,
I know
that
so
was
many people
that
left and missed the
so many
post
people miss
credits.
that, and that to me is just part of the movie. It's not even the post credits. Like, I don't know how you missed
No, it's
that
not. It's
because
the end of the
he was
movie.
he was playing throughout the credits. Like, they're not it never
Exactly.
cut to black or cut to
People leave
credits,
movies too early.
and just that final scene where it was the last time I saw the sun, it was the last
Mhm.
time I saw my brother, like, the happiness that community brings you and belonging in the world brings you. I think a lot of these movies, have themes of belonging or finding your place or finding sentiment, chasing destiny, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, fallout of that community.
Mhm.
Uh, I think this movie just nailed it with its final scene, um, the post-credit scene.
Right. Overall, I'm incredibly satisfied with the films we got this year.
Oh, yeah.
Having watched 117 new releases, and that's not even that crazy of a number, honestly. I don't even think like I know people that are like who's, obviously this is like a hobby of
Real
mine.
sickos.
It's not a job of mine as much as I would like it to be. I don't get paid to do this quite yet. People who get paid to do this watch, 300 plus new releases a year. I think 117 is a good enough number to zero in on all the stuff I wanted to see. And I enjoyed a lot of what I saw. I mean, you have to go pretty far down on my list to start getting to like the 2.5 stars,
Didn't like
stuff that
this
I
or
didn't
yeah.
really enjoy that much. Um, I had a great time at the movies this summer, whether it was in the theater, whether it was at home. Overall, I thought we got a lot of really good quality releases. I think, and of course, like at the top of this list is competing with any of the
Yeah,
2020s so far. Like the
yeah,
top 5, even the top 10 movies we got this year. I you know, we've had a lot of great movies from, I mean, 2020, 2021, obviously, like, not so much. A lot of stuff was delayed,
I
but
think 22,
2022,
yeah,
22, 23, 24, and now 25 have all been great movie years. And I think some
yeah,
people maybe might not agree because some of the lower the line stuff maybe hasn't hit as hard. But I thought we got a lot of great stuff this year, even looking down the list, things like Sorry Baby and F1 and Nouvelle
right,
Vague and The Mastermind and stuff that's, down into like the 30s, 40s, 50s on my list here was stuff I really enjoyed. So I'm just really
right.
happy that we're getting to do this, that we just had so many great movies come out this year that I was able to see as many as I did. And overall, I'm really satisfied with 2025.
I don't think there was anything this year that felt like a dud to me. Like, felt like I went in, really expecting it, and I haven't seen what you've seen, but I never thought that my expectations got to a point where I was, like, pissed off at a movie afterwards
Hmm.
or upset by a movie. This year felt like everything met a certain bar, which was really cool,
Yeah.
to see.
That's great. I mean, that's all we can ask for when we do this. I
Yeah,
mean, we're gonna watch the movies either way, so they might as well be good.
mhm,
Going into 2026, that's all we can ask for is more of the same. Hopefully, we can get a couple 5 stars and some 4.5 stars, to, like, to round out our top tens again. Yeah, that's really all I got on 2025. So I'm very much looking forward to continuing to do this in 2026. We've got some interesting stuff coming out already in January. I mean, we're kicking it off we're hitting the ground running here. So you got to see the Bone Temple. I also want to talk about Send Help and a couple other things that are coming out real soon. So stay on the lookout for that. And we will be back shortly with a podcast about the Oscar nominations this year. So look out for that as well.